Beautiful. This is geometry, page 25. Geometry, page 25. We're going to do numbers 15, number 19, number 23. 15, 19, and 23. So here's how we do these. Question 15 says the endpoints of a segment CD are given. Find the coordinates of midpoint M. So here are the coordinates of CD. Now I could draw it on a graph like this, but for me personally, why draw this on a graph when you have to find the midpoints? Here's C, here's D, somewhere in here. Well, somewhere in here in the ballpark doesn't work for geometry. Doesn't work. You're going to use the midpoint formula. The midpoint formula is back here on page 22. So you take your x, the first x value, and the second x value, add them together and divide them by 2. That's going to be your midpoint for your x. And your y value, you take the first y value plus the second y value divided by 2, and then divide by 2. It's the average of these two. So how do you know which is x or which is y? They're always in alphabetical order. X comes before y in the alphabet, so that's your x and that's your y. I'm going to call that my first x and that's my first y. This one's x, this one's y. That will be my second value of x and that's my second value of y. Okay, so my first value of x is 3 plus second value of x is 7 divided by 2. That's going to be 10 divided by 2, and that's going to be 5. This one, the first value of y is -5 plus the second value of y is 9 divided by 2. -5 plus 9, excuse me, -9 plus 5 is 4. It's not a positive 5, that's a -5. Okay, so a -5 plus 9 is going to be 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And this right here, when you simplify your x's, you simplify your y's, you get this. Put a box around it, you're done. That's the midpoint M. Sorry, midpoint M. Question 19. You're given point G, you're given one of them, and you're given a midpoint. So look kind of like this. You're given G, you're given the midpoint. Well, if that's the midpoint, earthquake, if that's the midpoint, then G, the other endpoint's going to be over here somewhere. That's the endpoint, so you take that distance. It's going to be over here somewhere. So if we extended this, that's G, that's M. Somewhere over here is going to be the other endpoint. I don't know where, but it's someplace over here. Let's call it x1 and y1. The first value of x is right there, and the first value of y is right there. We're still going to use our midpoint formula. We're going to say the first value, take the first value of x plus the second value. We're going to take x1 plus this divided by 2 equals that. So your midpoint formula says x1 plus 5 divided by 2 is going to equal the midpoint. In this case, the midpoint for x is 4. It's 4, so that's an equation to find x1. To do the y value, we're going to do something very similar. We're going to take this y value plus that y value, all divided by 2 equals this. This plus this divided by 2 equals that. The first y value, it's y value, first y value plus the other endpoint, -6 divided by 2. This y value plus that y value divided by 2 equals the midpoint, which is 3. Okay. The hard part is going from this to this. Once you go from here, the rest is algebra. This should be really easy. Okay, so it's an equation. The variable is x. It's on that side. Is there anything else on that side? Yes. Remember PEMDAS, we're going to do it backwards. PEMDAS. Can we add or subtract? Wait, hold on. The top is in parentheses, so we can't do that yet. Is there any addition or subtraction? Yeah, but that's in parentheses. Cannot do it yet. Parentheses have to go last. Remember, in equation, we're going that way for an equation. When you're solving an equation, we're going that direction. Can you add or subtract? No. Multiply or divide? Yes. This 2. Multiply both sides by 2. What's remaining on the left is... What's remaining on the right? 8. X is still on that side. 5. Can we add or subtract? Yes. The opposite of adding 5 is subtracting 5. We get 3. So the X value for the other endpoint is going to be 3. For the Y, so this equation, the top, remember all that stuff on top is in parentheses. So add or subtract? No. The add or subtracting is in the parentheses. Cannot do that yet. Can we multiply or divide? Yes. We can get rid of that 2. Multiply both sides by 2. Multiply both sides by 2. Multiply that side of the equation by 2. Multiply that side of the equation by 2. This side, what's remaining, does 2's cancel, and you have y1 plus a negative 6. On the right side, you have 6. Y is still on that side of the equation. This is not a y, so we're adding a negative 6. The opposite of that is adding 6. Adding 6 to both sides of the equation. On the left side, we have first 5y. On the right side, we have a 12. Hey, the y value is a 12. Boom. That's our other endpoint. And it's, screw the midpoint. I'm going to just make up some letter. Let's call it G. Wait, we already have G. Sorry. Let's call it H. My bad. H. Put a box on it, you're done. There's the answer. Okay, flip the page over. Question 23. Find the distance between the 2 points. Find distance between 2 points. You could graph them like this and then say, here's a line between the 2 points. Use my handy dandy straight edge. Look at that. Doesn't have to be a ruler, just has to be straight. Hey, there's the coordinates, and that's a line, but how do you find that distance? You use the distance formula. Distance formula is on page 23. So that is the distance is equal to the square root. You take the x values, and again, on page 23, make sure you have a square root for everything. You take one x value minus the other x value. The order in which one you put where doesn't matter because we're squaring the stuff in the parentheses. Plus, you take the y values. You take one y value minus the other y value. The order in which you put these two doesn't really matter because we are squaring that quantity. Okay, that's going to get rid of, that square is going to get rid of any negative sign. So in this case, that's our x, that's our y, that's an x, that's a y. So let's call this one 0.1. That's your first value of x, that's your first value of y, and let's call this our second value of x, and that would be our second value of y. Okay, so let's go. First value of x is 7 minus earthquake. Second value of x is 13. Make sure that quantity is squared plus parenthesis, first value of y, that's our second value of y, that's our first value of y. Minus second value of y, there's our second value of y. It's all 2. Make sure you square that quantity. 7 minus 13 is a -6. Make sure it's squared. 10 minus 2 is 8. Make sure that's squared, and we're adding. It's a plus. -6 squared is 36. 8 squared is 64. 36 plus 64 is 100. And square root of 100 is 10. So this question says, find the distance between the 2 points. So the distance between these 2 points, this one happens to be 10. I want you to round off to the nearest point, 0.1 unit, nearest tenth. So this would be 10.0. And could we leave it like this and get correct? Fully correct? No. That's naked units. Don't have that. That's a naked number. 10.0 units. 10.0 units. Okay, and that's it. There's questions 15, 19, and 23. That should help you. Good luck, guys. Bye.